one of those nights. Overall, like, I didn't feel like I played bad. I felt, as a group, we really struggled to make shots that we had been making really since the start of the second half, and sometimes that's basketball. I mean, they're a great defensive team. I think just, prepare the best I can going forward. With a day in between, you really got to take time for your body. But yeah, I mean, definitely one of those nights shooting the ball. At the same time, like, our goal is to hold people under 84 points, and we held them to 86. And they got a lot of offensive firepower. So, but at the same time, I felt like they missed some shots that they usually make as well.
Picture this. Caitlin Clark steps onto the court, ready to take on the world. The crowd's buzzing. Expectations are sky high. Then boom, Aja Wilson drops 27 points and grabs 12 rebounds. Clark's shots aren't falling. The pressure's on. But you know what? This isn't the end of her story. It's just the beginning. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now, back to the video. Do you wish to know what transpired? The Fever had a strong debut, as if they had something important to prove. The real question is, though, how long did that last? Could I tell you that the game changed direction more quickly than you could say timeout? With an impressive 7-0 run that had everyone on the floor, the Indiana Fever stormed onto the court. Aaliyah Boston slammed down a jumper, Lexi Hull hit a corner three, and Kelsey Mitchell attacked the basket like a woman crazy.
Allowed once in a while.
No question. Wilson's finding some space from the mid-range and connecting. Here's Asia Wilson knocking down her first look. Only team Indiana has not beaten this season. First of 2 straight between these two teams from Gainbridge Fieldhouse. They'll do it again on Friday after this one as Mitchell drives, gets to the rim, and gets the Fever started.
After just 36 seconds, the Aces appeared astonished and decided to request a timeout. It appeared as though the Fever had reversed the champion's script. Hold on though, because things become really crazy at this point. Do you recall the saying that champions always find a way? The Aces, nevertheless, proved why they should be the team to beat. It was time for the unstoppable force, Aja Wilson, to take command. Suddenly, it seemed as though the Fever's explosive start had never occurred as she scored 4 baskets in a row. By the end of the first quarter, Indiana was down 18 points, and the Aces had taken the lead. What a change in momentum. It was similar to witnessing a boxing match where a boxer would score a powerful blow before being knocked out a few seconds later. Let's now discuss Caitlin Clark, the breakout star that everyone has been talking about. The wall known as the Aces' defense struck her. Seeing it was horrible. Whenever Clark attempted to initiate a conversation, supporters surrounded her like white on rice. She was having trouble hitting her shots, and it seems like each one was disputed. When your stat line looks like this, you know it's going to be a rough night. 6 out of 22 shots in the field. That is quite difficult. Wait, things get worse. From over the arc, out of 10. Hurt. Every time Clark makes a shot, it seems as though the Aces cover the basket. The defense of the Aces was formidable. They were called impenetrable, and I can assure you that's not overkill. The Fever were left in a state of confusion, attempting to locate any available space. The Aces, though, they had different ideas. Their depth and championship experience were clearly visible.
Vegas Aces, I think you don't get no better than that from seeing where you are standpoint. I think that we got to gauge at where we are against, reigning champs. And I think that, that's what I was telling to the previous question is it's not all bad. I think that, considering when we used to play the Vegas Aces, especially this year alone, our first game, I think the one thing that I saw at the group down the stretch was a dog mentality to get the next stop. We had, made a stretch and made a really good run down the stretch of the game, and I think that they turned it on during that timeout.
One player was poised to make this game her own highlight reel as the defense of the Aces muzzled the Fever. What if I told you that the events we were going to see will alter the course of WNBA history? That's correct. Aja Wilson didn't let anything get in the way of her purpose. Now, let's discuss Wilson's actions from that evening. She not only broke, but completely destroyed the WNBA single-season scoring record. We're talking about 35 games and 956 points. That is completely crazy. The earlier record, it was not going to survive. Imagine this. Just before the half, the tension in the arena is so high that a knife could cut through it. Wilson has the ball, she's aiming for the hoop, and presto, she does a jumper flawlessly. However, this wasn't your typical basket. Her 941st point of the season came from that jumper, which cemented her place in WNBA history. You ought to have heard the throng. The place erupted the minute that ball swished through the net. Everyone in the arena seemed to be aware that they were seeing something unique, and they were, I assure you. Wilson was not done though. She was just getting started. Oh no, she had scored 27 points and pulled down 12 rebounds by the time the final whistle sounded. How about dominance? The truth is, though, that it wasn't all about Wilson's points. There was no escaping her on the court. In a defensive manner, she was the Fever's worst nightmare. She seemed to have a personal grudge against anyone who ventured near her paint, as seen by her 3 blocks and 2 thefts. And when she was double-teamed by the Fever, big error. Wilson only took advantage of the chance to position her teammates for easy baskets. What's actually absurd, you know? When her team most needed her in the second half, Wilson scored 8 points in a row on her own. It resembled seeing a wrecking crew with only one woman. I can assure you that it was observed by all. Her teammates were pleased at her accomplishment. The Fever players were forced to admit what they were witnessing. One of those occasions when you simply have to nod your cap and declare, "We're watching greatness." Caitlin Clark proved to us why she is a future star just when you thought she was out for the count. Although the Aces' defense was formidable, Clark was not going to give up easily. Know what's absurd? She was doing poorly on the night, yet she was still able to execute several techniques that had everyone's mouth dropping. Imagine this. Against Kelsey Plum, Clark manages to weave through a defender-filled court and score a and one basket. The audience erupted. Observing a magician pluck a rabbit out of a hat was analogous to that, and as if that wasn't spectacular enough, she makes a deep step-back 3 that left the defense perplexed. We've been expecting to see that Clark. To be honest though, it wasn't all sunshine and roses. Although Clark finished with 16 points and 6 assists, her shooting percentages are concerning. 1 of 10 shots from outside the arc and 6 of 22 from the field. That is quite difficult. You know what's incredible though? Clark yet made history despite such numbers. She became the first teammate to score 100 3-pointers in a single season, together with Kelsey Mitchell. That is completely crazy. Following the match, Clark showed no hesitation. "There are definitely times when the offensive fouls are surprising," she said, expressing her frustration with the refereeing. "I believe that during the games, I am held and touched quite a bit. The problem is that she isn't offering an explanation." Clark acknowledges that she needs to improve, noting, "I didn't feel like I played poorly overall. I thought that we all had a lot of difficulty making the shots that we had been making." What truly impresses you about Clark? You ask. Her tenacity. She persists in trying even when things aren't going her way. She's not all about the huge numbers and the showy plays. Clark's quest is all about perseverance and challenging herself to improve, even in the face of formidable opponents. Remember that this is only the beginning for Clark. Already, she's changing the definition of what it means to be a WNBA superstar. Every game and every obstacle she faces contributes to her development. She's picking up skills, adjusting, and demonstrating her ability to compete at the greatest level.